My family trusted my ex's lies during our divorce and cut me off. Then they came back asking to see my son. Imagine your own family, your parents, your sister believing every venomous lie your cheating ex spun about you during a divorce, then completely cutting you out of their lives for years. Now imagine they come crawling back, not for you, but to demand access to your newborn son. This is how I finally closed a door I thought would haunt me forever. This mess? Oh, it started 5 years ago. My marriage imploded in the most spectacular way imaginable. Amber and I, we were those young, naive idiots who thought love conquered all. Married at 25 and 24, right out of college. We met at the University of Nebraska. She spilled a latte on my thermodynamics textbook. Classic meet cute, right? 3 hours disappeared talking about everything from career goals to childhood cartoons. The early years? They were fantastic. She was driven, charismatic. I was the steady one. We balanced each other, or so I believed. I proposed on a hike in Rocky Mountain National Park, down on one knee with mountains stretching out behind us. She cried, said yes. We planned our future like we had it all figured out. My parents adored Amber, treated her like the daughter they never had. Dad joked she understood business, unlike his engineer son. Mom took her shopping, included her in everything. For years, we played house. Starter apartment, leaky faucet, matching coffee mugs. We talked about a real home, kids. I worked long hours as a mechanical engineer, building a stable life. Amber traveled for pharmaceutical sales, constantly schmoozing clients. I told myself it was work stress. She needed space. I gave it to her. Turns out, she needed space to sleep with her regional sales manager. I found out the worst way possible. Came home early from a cancelled site inspection. A manufacturing plant had a cooling system malfunction. My project manager sent us home. Thursday afternoon, 2 p.m. I'd even texted Amber, asking if she wanted takeout. No response. Pulled into our driveway, saw an unfamiliar BMW. Figured it was a neighbor's guest. Walked into our bedroom, and there they were. My wife and her boss. Bradley. On our bed. The cliché was insulting. It was like they couldn't even be original in their betrayal. Time does this bizarre thing in moments like that. Everything slows down, yet flashes by. I noticed stupid details, his expensive suit jacket draped over my chair. Her clothes scattered from the doorway. The turkey and Swiss sandwich I'd packed her that morning, sitting unopened on the nightstand. The one I made at 6 a.m. because she was trying to eat healthier. Bradley scrambled for his pants, shouting something about a misunderstanding. Amber just stared, deer in headlights, then her face shifted. Calculation. I could see her brain working, trying to figure out the angle. I didn't yell. Didn't break things. Part of me desperately wanted to flip the nightstand, punch Bradley's perfect teeth, scream until my throat was raw. But I just stood there. My 7-year marriage. My 10-year relationship. Dissolving. In real time. Jake, let me explain, Amber started, pulling the sheet up. Like modesty mattered now. Explain what? My voice came out flat. Empty. I'm not stupid. I know what I'm seeing. Bradley nearly fell twice trying to put his pants on while hopping for the door. Look, man, I'm sorry. Get out. I told him. He grabbed his shirt, his jacket, and practically sprinted. His BMW screeched out of the parking lot seconds later. Amber was crying now. Mascara running. Please, Jake, please let me explain. It's not what you think. It's exactly what I think, I countered. I grabbed my keys. I'm leaving. Don't call me. Don't text me. We're done. Where are you going? We need to talk about this. I stopped at the bedroom door. Looked back at her one last time. The woman I'd built my life around. Trusted completely. Planned kids with. There's nothing to talk about. You made your choice. Then I walked out. Drove straight to my buddy Colin's place. Colin. He had a spare room and the good sense not to ask questions until I was ready. He took one look at my face and just said, "Come in. I'll order food." I sat on his couch for 6 hours, staring at his TV, seeing nothing. Colin brought me food I couldn't eat. Sat in silence. Checked his phone occasionally, but never made me feel like an imposition. That's real friendship, knowing when someone needs words, and when they just need presence. Around midnight, I finally told him. He listened. No interruptions. No platitudes. When I finished, he simply said, "You're staying here as long as you need. Guest room's yours. Tomorrow we'll figure out next steps." That night, lying in his guest bed, sleep wouldn't come. I replayed everything. Every late meeting. Every business trip. The password-protected phone, dismissed as client confidentiality. The growing distance I'd called work stress. How long? Weeks? Months? Years? Was our entire marriage a lie? Did it even matter? The result was the same. I was homeless. I filed for divorce the next day. Monday morning, I walked into a family law office. Patricia, my lawyer, an older woman with 30 years' experience, looked at me over her reading glasses. "You sure about 50-50? Adultery gives us leverage." "I don't care about leverage. I care about being free of her. Fast." "Fair enough," she said, "but document everything. People get vindictive." Patricia was more right than she knew. That's when Amber's campaign of destruction really kicked into high gear. She understood narrative control. Whoever told their story first, loudest, would be believed. So she spun a tale. I was the villain. Emotionally abusive, controlling, jealous. Monitoring her phone, accusing her without evidence. She'd finally found comfort with someone who treated her well, and I'd flown into a rage. The story was so detailed, so convincing, that my own family bought it. Hook, line, and sinker. Mom called 3 days after I moved out. Her voice was cold. Disappointed. She wanted to know how I could treat my wife that way, why I'd let my insecurities ruin a good marriage. When I tried to explain, she cut me off. "Amber already told us everything. She's devastated. We saw the text messages you sent her." Text messages. Clever. Amber had reframed my normal spouse text, "Where are you? Are you okay? When will you be home?" as controlling and possessive. If you squinted hard enough, and wanted to believe the worst. "Did you even consider my side?" I asked. "We don't need to. Amber's been part of this family for 7 years. We know her character. And apparently, they didn't know mine." Dad was next. Showed up at Colin's unannounced. Told me to apologize to Amber, work on myself. When I told him she'd been sleeping with her boss, he actually said, "Well, you must have driven her to it somehow." Driven her to it. Like cheating was an involuntary response to having a spouse who worked long hours. But Bailey? My little sister. The one I protected from bullies, helped with college applications, co-signed her first apartment. She sent me a long text about how disappointed she was, how I'd shown my true colors. How she was glad Amber had someone who actually appreciated her. Then she blocked my number. My own sister. I tried reaching out to extended family, aunts, uncles, cousins. Amber had gotten there first. The story was consistent: controlling husband, destroyed marriage, wife finds happiness, husband can't handle it. My Uncle Dave, who I'd helped move 3 times and loaned money to, even suggested I needed professional help for my control issues. Within 2 weeks, my entire family had cut me off. No calls. No emails. Mom blocked me on social media. Dad returned a birthday gift, unopened. Bailey changed her emergency contact at work from me to Amber. They chose her. Completely. Unequivocally. They chose her over their own son and brother. Divorce proceedings were brutal. Amber wanted everything. The house, most of the savings, even my truck from before the marriage. Her lawyer painted me as financially controlling, emotionally unstable, potentially dangerous. But Patricia, my lawyer, she'd seen it all. She's trying to provoke you, Patricia said. Don't give her the satisfaction. So I didn't. I stayed calm. Through every deposition. Every mediation. Every ridiculous demand. We ended up with a 50-50th split of marital assets. I kept my truck, some savings. Sold the house. At least I could start over. The best part? 3 months after the divorce, Amber got fired. Bradley was married, and his wife made some calls to HR. Company policy prohibited relationships. Both terminated. I heard through the grapevine Amber and Bradley tried to make it work, but it imploded within 6 months. Hard to build a relationship on mutual infidelity and destroyed marriages. But that was cold comfort when I was alone in a studio apartment, estranged from my family, eating frozen dinners, wondering what the hell happened to my life. Colin was my rock. He stuck around. Showed up every week with takeout. Just sat with me. Your family will come around, he'd say. When they realize Amber lied, they'll apologize. I wanted to believe him. I waited. 4 months. For that call. That text. That knock on the door. It never came. Eventually, I accepted it. My family wasn't coming back. They'd made their choice. I needed to make mine, keep living, or let their betrayal destroy me. I chose to live. I threw myself into work. Took on extra projects. Got promoted to senior engineer, then project lead. The money got better. More importantly, the work gave me something to focus on beyond the wreckage. I hit the gym hard. Needed an outlet for all that anger and hurt. Discovered I actually loved lifting heavy things. Dropped 30 pounds of divorce weight, put on muscle. It felt good to be strong. To physically carry the weight of everything. I moved out of the studio, into a decent 2-bedroom condo. Furnished it with things I liked. Got a German shepherd named Rex, who didn't care about my past, just happy to chase tennis balls. Life wasn't perfect, but it was stable. Predictable. Mine. Then I met Kayla. At a project kickoff meeting. She was the new procurement specialist. She called out a vendor for padding estimates by 30%, backed it up with research. Watching her dismantle a sleazy contractor with spreadsheets and logic? Probably the most attractive thing I'd seen in years. We started talking shop. Supply chain. Logistics. Ended up in a conference room for 2 hours, sketching workflow improvements. That was 3 years ago. Kayla wasn't like Amber. No games. No constant validation needed. No mind-reading expectations. She said what she meant. If she was upset, she told me directly. We took it slow. I was gun-shy. She'd been through her own bad breakup. First date, coffee. Second, a car show to see my Mustang project. Third, dinner at her place, where I helped prep vegetables and finally told her about the disaster of my first marriage. She listened without judgment. Asked clarifying questions. Then said, your ex sounds like a piece of work. And your family sounds worse. You deserved better. Just like that. No defending them. No suggesting I must have done something. Just validation. It was everything. We moved in together after a year. Her house. Quiet neighborhood. Garage for my cars. Yard for Rex. It needed work. Dated kitchen, bathroom from 85. Yard more weeds than grass. But it had good bones. We spent weekends fixing it up together. Turning it into home. Then last year, Kayla got pregnant. We talked about kids. I'd always wanted to be a dad. But when she showed me that positive pregnancy test, it stopped being theoretical. This was happening. Our baby. Oliver Jake was born on a Tuesday morning. 7 pounds, 2 ounces. Lungs that worked perfectly, judging by his immediate screaming. Holding my son for the first time, it broke something open inside me. All the walls I'd built to protect myself from more hurt. They cracked wide open. This tiny person. Dependent on me for everything. Half my DNA. My nose. He'd get his mom's common sense, and hopefully my ability to fix things. Colin visited in the hospital. "You're going to be a great dad," he said. "Kid's lucky to have you." For the first time in 3 years, I let myself think about my family. My parents would never meet their grandson. Bailey would never be Aunt Bailey. My kid would grow up missing half his family tree because they'd chosen my lying ex-wife. Their loss, I told myself. We don't need them. Except, that decision wasn't entirely up to me. 2 weeks after Oliver was born, I was on paternity leave, doing the zombie shuffle between feeding and diaper changes, when my phone rang. Unknown number. "Jake, it's Mom." 3 years of silence. And she opened with "It's Mom," like we'd just talked yesterday. I didn't hang up. Should have. I just stood there in the nursery, holding my sleeping son. Her voice. Still familiar. Still capable of making me feel like a kid called to the principal's office. "We heard about the baby," she continued when I didn't respond. "Congratulations." "How did you hear?" My voice was flat. "Well, that doesn't matter. The important thing is, we want to meet our grandson." "Our grandson. Not your son." "No, we're sorry." Just straight to claiming ownership of Oliver. "After 3 years, that's what you lead with?" I asked. "Jake, please. We're family. Whatever happened in the past, a new baby is a fresh start. We want to be part of his life." "Whatever happened in the past?" I repeated. "You mean when my ex-wife lied about me being abusive, and you believed her without question? When I tried to tell you the truth, and you called me a liar? When you blocked me on every platform and returned my birthday gifts? That past?" Silence. "Then, we thought we were protecting her. You have to understand, she was very convincing. I'm your son. I was supposed to be the one you protected. Well, we see things differently now. Amber's life hasn't gone the way she expected. And people are starting to ask questions about her version of events. We realize we may have been hasty in taking sides." May have been hasty? 3 years of estrangement, and they may have been hasty. "Who told you about Oliver?" I asked again. "Bailey saw something on social media. One of your friends posted pictures." "Colin." It must have been Colin. So proud to be Uncle Colin. Probably didn't think about privacy settings. "We'd like to visit," Mom continued. "Meet the baby. Talk things through. Dad's been working on a crib. It's beautiful. He wants Oliver to have something special. 3 years ago, Dad wouldn't even look at me. Now he was building cribs." "Let me think about it," I said. I couldn't process this while holding a sleeping infant. "Don't think too long," Mom replied. "Babies grow up fast. You don't want him missing out on knowing his grandparents." She hung up before I could respond to that manipulation. Kayla found me 10 minutes later, still standing in the nursery. Oliver asleep. Me staring at the wall. "Everything okay?" she asked. "My mom called. They want to meet Oliver." Kayla's expression cycled rapidly: surprise, anger, calculation. "What did you tell her?" "That I'd think about it." "And are you?" "I don't know. Part of me wants to tell them to go to hell. But another part." I looked at Oliver. He deserved to know his grandparents, right? If they were willing to try? "He deserves grandparents who didn't abandon his father for 3 years, Kayla said quietly. "He deserves family who will show up for him no matter what, not people who will bail the second things get complicated." She was right. I knew she was right. But some stupid, hopeful part of me wanted to believe people could change. That my family could admit they were wrong. That we could rebuild. That hope lasted exactly 4 days. Bailey texted first. Long message about how she'd always loved me. How the past few years had been hard on everyone. How she wanted to be Aunt Bailey. All these life updates I'd missed because she'd blocked me. Then came the reveal. I know things ended badly with you and Amber, but we're still friends. She's really gotten her life together, and I think it would be good if we could all move past the drama. Maybe we could all get together sometime. She'd love to meet Oliver, too. I read that message 3 times. Was I hallucinating? My sister wanted me to be cordial with my cheating ex-wife? The woman who destroyed my marriage, my reputation? The woman my family had chosen over me? And she wanted to expose my newborn son to that toxic situation? I showed it to Kayla. Her response was immediate. Absolutely not. They haven't learned anything, I said, more to myself than to her. They still think Amber's the victim. They just want access to Oliver without acknowledging what they did. So, what are you going to do? That was the question. The easy answer was, tell them all to take a hike. Block their numbers. Let Oliver grow up without that side of his family. But something held me back. Maybe I needed to see them one last time. Needed to know for sure that reconciliation was impossible before I closed that door forever. I texted Mom back. You can visit Sunday at 2 p.m. Just you, Dad, and Bailey. 1 hour. If you bring up Amber or try to defend your actions, the visit ends immediately. She responded within minutes. Thank you. We'll be there. Colin came over Saturday night. You sure about this? He asked, sipping his root beer. No. But I need to know if there's anything salvageable. What's your best case scenario? I thought about it. They apologize. Genuinely. Not some mistakes were made, non-apology. They acknowledge they should have believed me. That Amber manipulated them. That they failed me. They accept Kayla and Oliver without conditions. And worst case? They show up expecting everything to go back to normal. Want to play grandparents and aunt without acknowledging the 3-year gap where they treated me like I didn't exist. My money's on door number 2, Colin said. Yeah. Mine too. Sunday. Gray clouds, threatening rain. Wind making the trees sound angry. Perfect atmosphere for a family reunion that screamed terrible idea. Kayla set up the living room. Oliver would stay in his bouncer, visible, but not immediately accessible. Casual, common areas only. No house tours. No intimate moments in the nursery. They were guests. Not family. Not yet. At 2:03 p.m., a car pulled into my driveway. Through the window, I watched them get out. Mom, more gray hair, new lines. Dad, moved slower. Bailey, sharper, business casual. They stood for a moment, conferring. Then Dad pulled something from the back seat. A wooden rocking horse. Beautifully crafted. Clearly one of his workshop projects. The doorbell rang. I opened it. My family. Standing on my porch. Holding gifts. Wearing nervous smiles. Strangers I used to know. Hi, Mom said. Thank you for letting us come. I stepped aside. They filed in. Kayla waited, standing protectively near Oliver's bouncer. I saw Mom's eyes go straight to the baby. The calculation. The hunger to scoop him up. Everyone, this is Kayla, I said. Kayla, this is my mother, Patricia, my father, Dennis, and my sister, Bailey. Kayla nodded politely. No handshake. She understood. And this is Oliver. I gestured to the bouncer. Oliver was awake, alert, staring at the ceiling with intense baby focus. Mom took a step. I moved between her and the baby. Let's sit down first. Talk. We arranged ourselves awkwardly. Parents on the couch. Bailey in the armchair. Kayla and I standing like prison guards between them and Oliver. Not the warm reunion they'd envisioned. Dad set the rocking horse down. I made this for him. Quarter sawn oak. Hand carved. Should last generations. It's beautiful, Kayla said, because she always had manners. Silence. Everyone waiting. Mom cleared her throat. We've missed you. These past 3 years have been difficult. For everyone, Dad added quickly. Yes, for everyone, Mom agreed. But we're here now. That's what matters. We want to move forward. Move forward? I repeated. Just skip past everything? Bailey jumped in, mediator mode engaged. Nobody wants to dwell on the past. We all made mistakes. The important thing is we're family, and families work through their issues. What mistakes did I make? I asked. The question seemed to catch them off guard. Well, I mean, communication could have been better, Bailey said carefully. On all sides. I tried to communicate. I tried to tell you what happened. You blocked my number. You were going through a difficult time, Mom said, that placating voice from my childhood. Emotions were high. We all said things we didn't mean. I never said anything I didn't mean. I told you the truth, and you called me a liar. Dad shifted. Look, son, Amber was very convincing. She had evidence, texts, emails, witnesses. We had to consider her side. Did you consider mine? You were angry. Irrational. We thought you needed time to calm down. I caught her sleeping with someone else in our bed. That's not irrational anger. That's a normal human response to betrayal. She explained that situation, Mom said quietly. My blood ran cold. She explained it? What explanation could possibly justify that? She said you'd been emotionally checked out for months. She found someone who gave her the attention she needed. It wasn't right, but you pushed her to it. There it was. After 3 years. After supposedly realizing they'd been wrong. They still blamed me. Kayla stepped forward. I think you should leave. Wait. We just got here. Bailey protested. We haven't even held the baby. You're not going to, I said. Because you don't actually want to apologize. You want me to pretend nothing happened so you can play grandparents without acknowledging how badly you screwed up. We're here, aren't we? Dad said, spreading his hands. We're making an effort. That should count for something. Making an effort would have been believing your son 3 years ago. Making an effort would have been asking for my side of the story before cutting me off. This isn't making an effort. This is deciding you want something I have and expecting me to just give it to you. Mom's eyes filled with tears. How can you be so cruel? We're trying to heal this family. You broke it. You don't get to decide when and how it heals. Jake, please. Bailey stood up. Think about Oliver. Don't you want him to have grandparents, aunts, and uncles? A full family? I want him to have people who will show up for him no matter what. People who won't abandon him the second someone tells a convincing lie. People who will believe him even when the truth is uncomfortable. We're those people. Mom insisted. No, you're not. You proved that 3 years ago. Dad's face was red. Now you're being unreasonable. We made a mistake, fine, but you're asking us to grovel for forgiveness like we committed some unforgivable sin. We're your parents. Show some respect. Respect is earned. You spent 3 years treating me like I didn't exist because my ex-wife lied to you. You never apologized. Even now, you're defending her and blaming me. So no, I don't respect you. And no, you don't get to meet my son. You can't do this. Bailey said, voice rising. You can't keep him from his family because of some grudge. Watch me. Outside, the threatening rain finally started. Light at first, then heavier. The kind that soaks through clothes in minutes. Mom was crying openly now. Please. We're sorry. We're so sorry. Just give us a chance. If you were actually sorry, you would have called 3 years ago. You would have reached out when Amber's lies started falling apart. You would have admitted you were wrong without waiting until I had something you wanted. This is about revenge. Dad said. You're punishing us, No. This is about protection. I'm protecting my son from people who will hurt him the same way you hurt me. I walked to the door and opened it. Rain blew in. It's time for you to leave. They stood there frozen. Jake, son, please, Dad started. I'm not your son. You made that clear 3 years ago. Now leave before I call the police. Bailey grabbed her purse. This is ridiculous. You're going to regret this. The only thing I regret is wasting an hour of my Sunday on people who don't deserve it. Mom tried one more time. At least let us leave our phone numbers in case you change your mind. I won't. They filed out into the rain. Dad grabbed the rocking horse, struggled with it through the doorway. They stood on the porch, getting soaked, looking back at me with disbelief and hurt. You're making a mistake. Dad called through the rain. No. You made the mistake 3 years ago. This is the consequence. I closed the door. Through the window, I watched them run to their car. The car sat in my driveway for a full 5 minutes, engine running, probably arguing. Finally, it backed out and drove away. The house was quiet. Except for Oliver, making small baby noises in his bouncer. Kayla wrapped her arms around me. From behind. You okay? Yeah, I whispered. I'm good. And I was. I felt lighter. Like I'd been carrying their expectations, and finally, set them down. Colin called an hour later. How'd it go? About as well as you predicted. They wanted instant forgiveness and access to Oliver without acknowledging what they did. So, you kicked them out in the rain. Nice touch. Very dramatic. Wasn't planned. Weather just cooperated. You think they'll try again? I looked at Oliver. Sleeping peacefully. Completely unaware his father had just permanently cut off half his family tree. Probably. But it won't matter. I'm done. Done trying to fix relationships with people who broke them. Done hoping they'd suddenly become the family I needed. Done letting their dysfunction anywhere near my son. Oliver stirred, a tiny fist escaping his swaddle. I tucked it back in. Something so small. Making everything else seem unimportant. He'd grow up with one set of grandparents, Kayla's folks, who'd welcomed me without hesitation. He'd have Uncle Colin. And Aunt Lisa, Colin's girlfriend, who'd become part of our chosen family. He'd have the family we'd built. Not the one I'd been born into. That was enough. More than enough. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Please reconsider. We love you. Mom. I deleted it without responding. Blocked the number. Because some bridges don't need rebuilding. Some relationships aren't worth salvaging. And some people show you exactly who they are when things get difficult. What would you have done in my place? Have you ever had to choose your own peace over family ties? Tell me what you think in the comments. I really want to hear your perspective.